Hi everyone, and welcome to the Inside Guide podcast. I'm Mariam, coach and facilitator, and this show is all about exploring yourself. Each week, I'll give you all the tips and tricks you need to gain clarity and serenity. My mission here is to help you to transform your inner world in order to change your outer world. So sit back, relax, and let's begin. Hi everyone, and welcome to the Inside Guide podcast. I am so happy to be with you today again for this second episode. And today we're talking about how to deal with negative emotions. Oh my God, I love that subject. I have so much things to tell you. And if you are someone like me who tends to react quite quickly to your emotion, make sure to stick around until the end to understand where I want to bring you. All right, so first off, I strongly suggest you to first listen to the episode 0 and the first episode so that you can understand better and that things will be so much clearer for you. So, as you may now know, I have had a tough childhood and therefore I developed lots of negative emotions throughout my life. And I would say that anger is probably the number one. It's still a part of my life. It will probably always be here, and that's okay. Because when I decide that I had to change something in my behavior and in my life in order to be happier, how to deal with negative emotions was one of my priority. All right, we have a lot to cover today. I'm so excited about this episode. So let's begin, guys. So this episode will be in 3 different points. The first one that I want to talk about is what is emotion. I want to make sure that we all start on the same page here. So, according to the American Psychological Association, emotion is defined as a complex reaction pattern involving experiential, behavioral, and physiological elements. So, emotion is a key mechanism that guides our behavior and our body. So concretely, emotion is a physiological response, is a response from a body to maybe your thoughts, as we talked about in the first episode, and to a situation and circumstances. All right, so before we dive into the nitty gritty details, I just want to say something. I've done a lot of research as I love this subject. I have a bit of knowledge as a nurse. However, I am not a neurologist. I don't have any degree in neuroscience. I just summarize and tried to make a very complex reaction as simple as I could so that you can just basically understand what's going on into your body. So let's do it, guys. What's happening into your body when you feel an emotion? You have to know that it's a very quick reaction. So, the part of the brain that interests us in terms of emotion is the limbic system. So, what is it? It's a set of structure in the brain that deal with emotions and memory. It's composed by 4 parts, but to make it very simple, I'm going to talk about only 3 parts in the limbic system. So we have the first one, the hippocampus. It stores and retrieves conscious memories, and it also provides a context to a situation. Then we have the amygdalas, which creates the appropriate emotion regarding the signal and information that has been sent previously. The amygdala also decodes emotions and store fear memories. Then we have the hypothalamus. And the hypothalamus regulates many functions into your body, but in terms of emotions, it mainly regulates the autonomic nervous system. And you can think of that as the famous, I don't know if you know it, the fight or flight response versus the rest and digest response. The fight or flight response is an automatic physiological reaction to an event that is perceived as stressful or frightening. So basically, your body will release stressful hormones into your body, and you're going to feel more contract, your muscle going to feel more tighten, and all this stuff. And the rest and digest response is the opposite, is when your body calm down and it's gonna irrigate all your organs and you're gonna feel more relaxed. And so the hypothalamus does this by controlling the endocrine system, by triggering the release of hormones into your bloodstream. So this is why I tell you that you're gonna feel more stressed or you're gonna feel more relaxed, is because it's triggering the release of hormones. And one of them, that is one of the most famous, is adrenaline. As these hormones are being released into your bloodstream through little proteins, each cell of your body will receive them through receptors. So each of your cells have little receptors, and when they are in contact with the hormones that has been released previously, each cell will transform itself. And as we know that each cell is a part of the bloodstream, they're gonna irrigate each organ. And after all the cells from the same organ has received the hormones, the entire organ will also transform itself. So basically, what we can take from all I've told you is that when we feel something, when we feel emotions, there is a chemical reaction. So, for example, you can have a beating heart or a chest tightness. And sometimes it's very subtle, we barely feel it, but other times it's sudden. Like when you feel your cheeks, for example, getting warm when you're angry. And why is it important to know that? Because realizing all these mechanisms, is understanding that my body can talk to me. And I feel like there's a need to remember that basically this mechanism was here and is still here for my well being. He actually allowed us, all of us, the humanity, to survive. So it's not here to make me suffer. And I feel like there is a need to welcome more our emotions and become more aware of them. Because when I do that, when I clearly understand how it works, I can consciously create to choose things that arise pleasant feelings in myself. So, with that said, and now that we are all on the same page of what is an emotion and how it works in our body, this leads me to the second point, which is to catch the message. So, as we've seen in the first episode, there is a strong link between what we think, so our thoughts, and how we feel, our emotions. And the problem is when we react too quickly to our emotions, well, the problem is that we react too quick and we don't stop to think. The other problem is that many people want to suppress emotions and they think that the path to happiness and the goal to achieve is always to feel happy, to always feel peaceful, and to be someone that never reacts, that is never angry, that is always calm. But this is an illusion, my friends, because we need our emotions, because they are here to send us a message. They actually helped us to survive. This is why we are here today. This is why the humans being are still alive. It is thanks to that fight or flight response. However, I still want to help you on how to deal with them. So, what I want to tell you is that the aim is not to suppress your emotions, the aim is to react differently to them. So, what you can do when you start to feel negative emotions arise in you, or when you feel that you're gonna lose it, that you're gonna get angry, that you're gonna say something that you might regret later, or that you're gonna start to cry or become frustrated or whatever, what you can do first off is just to stop anything that you're doing, if you can, obviously. If you have, like, for example, a conversation with someone and you start that you're gonna lose it, just stop and isolate yourself. And then what you can do is just to start to think and ask yourself, what is my body trying to tell me right now? What is the message that my inside world trying to send me? Because as I now know, my body is trying to send me a message right now. There's actually something that I'm not happy with. There's actually a need that is not respected. There's actually something that tells me, like, I'm not aligned. I don't feel good. So instead of blaming others and instead of blaming the outer world, why not trying to look within to understand what I need and what I truly want? Because as I told you since the beginning, your emotions are your friends. They are not your enemy. Emotions are vehicles that allows us to move forward. So, for example, anger is here to give me the impulsion to take action. So, the aim is not to suppress it. I'm not going to try to never feel angry, but I'm going to try to react to it differently. And what most of people don't know is that when they feel too much negative emotions, it's because some parts of their brain are too much activated. For example, with neuroscience, we know that when the amygdala is too much activated, it creates anger, violence, fear, and anxiety. And as we've seen before, the hypothalamus regulates the autonomic nervous system, which is that fight or flight or rest and digest response. And the fight or flight response activates the sympathetic nervous system. And over time, this increase of the sympathetic nervous system results in something called sympathetic nervous system dominance. And when your brain is in the sympathetic nervous system dominance, you can have signs or symptoms such as tendency to overreact, lack of focus and self awareness, shallow breathing or holding the breath, increased heart rate, pessimistic assessment, resistance to intimacy, avoidance or inability to change. You can also have physical or mental health problems such as digestive issues or anxiety disorders and many more. But what I want to focus on today is the opposite, is the rest and digest response, because this increase what we call the parasympathetic nervous system, and over time we have what we call, it results in something called the parasympathetic nervous system dominance. And when your brain is in this parasympathetic nervous system dominance, you have signs and symptoms such as deep learning, calm and steady breathing. You develop inner wisdom, so you develop solution based, positive self talk, ability to solve problems by your own, athletic agility. It improves the brain function, and in time, it generates creativity. Because the opposite of reactivity is creativity. And when you're able to generate creativity, this is when you become the architect of your life. And this leads me to the third point: generates creativity. So if you have to remember two things from this episode, it would be one, emotions are your friends, not your enemy. Negative emotions are here for a purpose. Two, the aim is not to suppress your negative emotions, but to react to them in a better way. And in order to react to them to a better way, you need to activate more often your parasympathetic nervous system or the rest and digest modes. So, how to do this? Well, any activity that generates a meditative state will activate your rest and digest mode and also strengthen it. So, the best tool, obviously, is meditation. And why is that? Because during meditation, you contemplate. And this is what also enhances the rest and digest mode. It's contemplation. So what you can do is spending time in nature, walking in nature, practicing breathing exercise, practicing yoga, or any sport that activates and strengthens contemplation. You can do journaling or basically any activity that put you into a flow state through contemplation. So actually my best advice for you to deal with your negative emotions is to do more activity that create and strengthen this rest and digest mode, because over time you will create this parasympathetic nervous system dominance, and naturally you will see yourself reacting to your negative emotions differently, and this is what I want for you. Thank you so much for listening. I truly hope that you liked this episode. And if you did, please let me know. Come and tell me on Instagram or Facebook. I love to read you and connect with you guys. Also, the best way to support the podcast is to subscribe to it, share it with your friends, and give it a review on Apple Podcast or the platform of your choice. This actually helps the podcast to be more visible so that people can discover it. Thank you, and I see you in the next episode.